I just remembered too. What freaking I need to get back on Smite though, at least for a bit, because they added Avatar: Last Airbender skins, and
Oh, get
one
it.
of
Get
and one I
it. Get it.
yes,
Get it.
one of
What
one of
skin
my
you wanted?
mains. So, my first main was Amu Zen'Kab, who was this bee dude,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do the bees because not the bees, you know. So I was just like, I'm gonna go for it, and I freaking I mastered him. I was
Yeah.
like, he's fucking awesome, and I just nonstop played him. And then after that, I was kind of lost. I didn't know who to play, and then I was like, you know what? Because like AMC is a hunter type.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I kind of want to play something different. I was like, they have some cool hunters, but I want to try another role and try different play styles.
Yeah.
So I tried out several different characters at the time, and I kind of played one. I tried out one of my brother's characters,
Mm-hmm.
and I got like two mastery levels on her, or not mastery levels, but two levels on her.
Yeah.
But eventually, I kind of stuck with one assassin named Susano, and
Okay.
he's really cool, and he's like the only assassin that's easy for me to learn and kind of
Mm-hmm.
relearn anytime I get back into it. But he's the one that got the Zuko skin, and I'm like, okay,
Nice.
I need to come back. I
I'm gonna
need to
come
get
back
those
just for
skins.
the Zuko skin, and then
Yeah.
I'll be off and on again.
Yeah, that's why I just need to get that skin because Aang they gave Merlin, because they added Merlin recently, and
Oh.
they gave Merlin the Aang
Mm.
skin. And then they gave Scotty, who is this, I forget, she's a Nordic god, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like a kind of like a frosty type. And she has a polar bear with her, but they gave her the Korra
Cora,
skin
yeah.
with her polar dog bear thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's so cool. But like, I was like, I just, I don't know why, but as soon as you said League of Legends, it
Dawned on
triggered
you.
and
It's like,
yeah, and
this
I was like, oh my
MOBA.
God, I gotta get back and get those skins.
What do you play it on, PC or PS4 or a different console?
Um, I started playing on Xbox, and then one of my old work buddies, he actually likes playing Smite, and he started playing. He plays it on PC,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, okay.
How's the
And at the
difference
time,
between console Smite and PC Smite? Because I know I tried playing Smite for a while for a guy I was talking to, but we were playing it on PS4. I'm like, I don't kind of like this on PS4.
well, even though I played it even though I like playing it on PC, like I still played with a controller. So
Okay.
like so like it wasn't much of a difference. If
Okay,
anything, it
yeah.
was just more of the performance of the game that changed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because I didn't know. It's like I wonder if there's a difference in play while you're with playing mouse keyboard instead of controller.
yeah, like with Smite, I just couldn't do it. Like the only game, as far as like the only few games that I play with my keyboard on PC is like PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
And like I
Well, other
can't do a
shooters.
controller. Yeah. And like it's funny because like on Xbox I need, like, I mean, it's a controller, what else
Yeah.
are you gonna play with? But like on PC I'm like, no, I can't use my controller. I gotta use my keyboard
Keyboard
control,
mouse.
my
Yeah.
keyboard. Yeah, so I was like, I gotta stick with that. But like at the time when my buddy wanted to play, he wanted me to play with him. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was weird. I did start out playing a keyboard, and I just couldn't get the hang of it, so I switched to the controller. But I kind of lost interest just because, shit. I'll be honest. I put it in. My brothers I know are gonna call me out on this, but I put
Money,
in a
money,
lot of money.
money.
I put in a lot of money on my Xbox One. And I was just like, I'm not trying to do
Damn
that
free to
again.
play game that sells skins because I want to look good.
Yes, and I was like, they know how to get me.
I'm the
Um,
same way with League of Legends. I'm like, I can't just stay with the base model. I really like this one. Like
yeah.
one guy I've made so much in League of Legends, Varus. I'm like, okay, he's cool with his bow and arrow, but I really like this Cupid skin. And
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
just Cupid harding your ass.
I've even got skins for characters I don't even play and probably won't ever play, but I got it because it
Okay,
looks
I'm not
cool
that
as hell.
bad. I'm not that
Oh,
bad. I only get
yeah,
skins for like
no.
champions I actually play.
No, if my brother was here, he'd tell you how bad it is. And but so like, anyways, I was just like, I was like, I'm not trying to. I was like, the only reason like that I kind of like lost interest was because like, um, they said you can leak your account, but at the time, it wasn't. It was just the account alone. It wasn't the prog. It wasn't your progression or your skins or anything.
Mhm.
And so I was just like that. And I had even messaged one of the high res people, and they said, yeah, it's not. They're like, yeah, it doesn't
Not
link your
purchables.
progression. Yeah, but then
Oh,
like,
that so sucks.
well, yeah, at the time it sucked, but apparently just recently I found out that they did. They now you can carry over everything, all your whole
Hmm.
progression and everything. So I
Oh,
was like, dang.
perfect.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, cool. So I can hop on PC Smite, and not skip a beat. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah, I can
you
wreck
know.
people like normal. Perfect.
Yeah, I was like, cool, and I can have all my dope ass skins. So I was like, cool. I was like, now next time
It's
he
like
wants to play,
finally you guys
I'll
did this. Like
yeah, I was like,
seriously.
I remember even telling the high risk, I was like, yeah, if you guys, can make that happen, that'd be cool.
I'd be even more happy.
Yeah, I was like, I'd be
Because
more into it.
I don't
Because
want
right
the
now I'm
whole
a little disappointed.
you're like, I don't want the Skyrim syndrome of I have to buy Skyrim for every console I play. Because
Oh
I
yeah,
know
no,
people
yeah.
who have done that. I'm like, so you're telling me you bought the same game for the sixth time? Why?
You're talking to one of them.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've got
you
it.
got it for
It's-
PC. You should be happy. It's not going to be any different over there. At least with PC, you can mod.
Oh yeah. Then because I first started playing Skyrim on my PS4 on my PlayStation,
Mhm.
and then I got it for my Xbox, and then once I finally built my PC, that was like one of the first games I got was Skyrim on my PC, and then I got my Switch, and that
Skyrim
was
on
one of the games.
Switch.
That was Skyrim on my Switch.
Oh, look, familiar
So
game, familiar game,
yeah.
familiar game. Now here's the question: have you finished the game on each platform?
No. Okay. So
Wasted money. I'm
no,
just
it is
handing
worth
Bethesda
it. It is
money.
so worth every dollar. All right, check this out. I don't
Bethesda,
care what
you
people
own me.
say. On Switch, I've only played for like maybe 30 minutes total.
Mhm.
Okay, but here's a sad, funny story. And I'm sure everyone that's played Skyrim has experienced this at one point or another.
Mhm.
Um, so I had gotten to like level 78, 79,
Mhm.
and around
Oh,
at the
did
time.
you save over?
Yes, yes. And
Jaime
so
said the same thing last week. He's like, I got so far. I tried making a new game to try a different build. I accidentally saved over my big progression game, and I was just like, fuck it.
yeah,
I'm
so
not gonna
like
play
and,
no
but, like
more.
and like my goal wasn't and, like a lot of players' goal is the Ebony Warrior, but like
Mhm.
when the Dragonborn DLC came out, I had and this was my goal because um I
Dragon.
had read up that with that Dragonborn DLC, the new one, or when they at the time it was new, but
Mhm.
when they added it, they're like, all right, and we low key threw in brand new dragons that will spawn, and they're bigger and stronger, and they spawn I think at level 80 or 90. I was just like, oh my god! I was like, dude, I'm already wrecking these dragons. So like, I was like, I gotta get to that. I gotta get to that level so I can,
Mhm.
get those new ones and fuck them up. And and I was like, I'm pretty sure it was 80. I can't remember. It might have been 90, but
Mhm.
like in my mind it was 80, and I was at 79. So I was like one more level, and then I decided to go make a new character.
It's like, oh, I want to try doing this.
Yep, and then same thing as Jaime. Accidentally overwrote, and I just never played for years,
Yeah.
and then finally got back into it.
Tell me this.
Oh,
How true is this? I've heard on some other MMO podcasts, like you start Skyrim thinking, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to be like this badass mage. I want to be I'll be the swordsman or something." And you just slowly turn yourself
Become
back
a
into a
stealth archer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so
It's
true.
like I have this plan to be this. I have this plan to be that. I'm
But
just gonna snipe you.
for me, like my first one was a stealth archer, and I'm just like, I'm gonna snipe everybody. And then eventually that kind of, I mean, like after a long while, it started to get stale a little.
Mhm.
And then at first I was like, I started using other weapons with that same character, but like it was difficult because
you're you're facing
Ever
such high people, but your skills in this is so
Yeah.
low. You're
Yes.
getting wrecked just because like normal. Oh, I'm an archer. I'm an archer, but I'm sucky with the sword because I'm an archer.
Yeah. So then I was like, all right, so I'll just make another one and just,
Hmm.
start off, doing using all those other things or being a mage or so whatever. And then and then you just it's a slow
you
evolution
the
into
sad
the
part
stealth
is you
archer.
see yourself progress into
And
it,
it was
and
crazy
you
because
want
like
to fight it, but
halfway.
you don't even fight it no more.
No, yeah, you don't even realize it halfway. You're just slowly turning into it, and you don't realize halfway through until you're like,
It
"Oh
all
my God."
starts at that one time. Know what? I'm just gonna snipe him just so I can get on. But then I'll start using magic again. But you,
Yo.
but once you get that one little taste, it's like crack.
Yeah.
You start getting the, okay, I'm just gonna snipe one more, maybe one more. You know what?
Yeah.
This is gonna be a little difficult. I'm just gonna snipe him real quick.
Uh, yeah.
It's just
yeah.
that
It's it.
mentality of, uh, it's, I can just snipe this one.
Yeah.
One is
It's
okay, as long as I stop at the one, and you never stop at one.
no. It's and then it's like, all right, one more, and then one more, and then another, and then and then you're
And
like,
then you find
okay,
yourself out. I'm a freaking
yeah,
stealth archer again. How did I get
stealth
here?
archer, no. Why? Then I'm weak and you start beating yourself up. You're just like, no.
How did I get here? I know, but someone tell me so it doesn't seem like I'm a bad person.
Yeah, yeah, that's 100% true though.
Well, talking about all these games, what would you say was your or is your favorite game of all time? I know this
All
is going to
right.
be tough because there's so many. As gamers, we've played so much, but in deep down, what do you think would be your favorite game?
Okay, so it's a series.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a trilogy. I mean, there is a fourth one out now, but it's not a part of the trilogy story, sort of.
Mass
It
Effect.
takes Yes. Okay.
how,
Yes.
how did
Yes.
I know?
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, so it's crazy. And the reason why it's that game is because that was actually my very first RPG game. That was my first
Hmm.
experience of an RPG, and I remember how I came across it, and I'm never gonna forget this guy, because he also happens to be family, but we kind of lost touch
Hmm.
years ago. I kind of check up on him here and there just because like he's one. I mean, he's a very he kind of just keeps to himself, and
Hmm.
he doesn't do well at keeping in touch. But
Hmm.
anyways, um, I think this was in high school. And I remember we were talking about, and at the time, at least before he gave me this game,
Hmm.
I was playing a lot of Call of Duties with my brothers and Halo, of course, and a lot of shooters, and
Being
then of
like
course the
most,
Zeldas.
being like most teenagers, I'm just here for the FPS.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, I mean, I wouldn't say bland because I mean, as long as you love the game and you enjoy it, like you're a
That's
gamer,
important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. But at least comparing me then to now, I was kind of bland.
Hmm.
Um, but I remember I forgot like I know we were talking about games. I don't remember which games we were talking about. I know he brought up Tekken because he likes Tekken.
Hmm.
Um, and then I don't know. I think it was when I started talking about Fable. I think that was maybe when he got the idea and he was like, "Hey, I got this game." He's like, "I played it. It's cool. It was all, or at least he was like, it was all right. I liked it, but like, I feel like you'll appreciate it more."
Hmm.
And I remember looking at it, and and I'm looking at, and he gave me the game in the case, because it's all at the time it was all discs and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and I'm like, Mass Effect. I'm like, that's kind of a interesting name. I'm like, I've
Yeah.
never heard,
It's a weird
it's
title.
yeah, it is, and I'm looking at the character, and I'm like, okay, there's a human in some armor, and there's like an
Yeah.
alien, and
And who
okay, I'm
makes
like,
it? Was it yeah, BioWare, right?
Bioware, yeah,
Did they have
and
any big games out then yet? Yeah, I think they had at least Knights of the Old Republic, right? No, yeah, they did.
they had the
So they
KOTORs.
were pretty.
Those were
So they were already pretty big name as or getting
Yeah,
a bigger name
be,
because of those games, because those were great games before they made Mass Effect.
oh yeah, yeah, the KOTORs, yeah, those are classics.
Hmm.
And and that kind of just got that brought attention to them.
And
But
then they're
yeah, I
like,
was
okay, Mass Effect. Oh, Bioware.
yeah, and I'm just like, I'm like Mass Effect, interesting. I'm like, I'll be honest, I really didn't think I would like it. I'm like, it looks weird, I'm like,
Hmm.
whatever. All right, I was like, I'll give it a try because he's, giving me this game for free. So I was like, all right, cool, and then I started playing it, and then I was like, oh man, because this is my first experience customizing your character in an
Hmm.
RPG. Spending hours just,
Getting down that
just
trap of I need
yeah,
it to
making
look
your
this
character,
way.
yeah, just making your character, and I'm like, all right, finally I get through. I'm pick your background and whatnot. And anyways, I
Hmm.
start playing, and then like what I didn't, cause like I never knew what an RPG was, or at least
Hmm.
at the time I didn't understand, what an RPG
You knew
was,
about
and
them, but you didn't know the depth some can really go
yeah,
into.
and then yeah, and then and then I started, and then when I got, I started, and then all of a sudden I started getting choices, and I'm like, what and at first I'm like, what is this? Well, like dialogue options? What are these?
Yeah.
And like I'm picking them and not knowing what I'm doing. I'm not, and I'm sort of like
You
half
didn't
paying attention.
realize what these people
It
do
wasn't,
with their
yeah,
RPGs.
it wasn't until halfway through the game that I started to realize, and like, yeah, I didn't start to realize that my choices have consequences,
Hmm.
and I was like, what? And that was just when my mind just blew up, and I was like, wait, my choices have consequences, and and I'm like, wait, what? You can, and then you have a choice
Hmm.
of leaving one comrade behind to save another, and you have to pick and choose because they're both saying, no, save them, save them,
Yeah.
save them, and you got to
And it's
choose. And
all on you.
yeah, and I'm like, what? And then like that first one, oh man, like when I finally finished, I was like, this game's amazing. So I went through, played it again because now I'm like, I'm aware of what's going on, and I'm
What
like,
are
dude,
the
this is
other
amazing.
story options?
Yes, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and do these other options, and then and then there's the Paragon and Renegade option. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
awesome. And then after I finished it again, all right, playing it again, like I played it again, and I was doing it, and like it was a different experience every time I kept playing it. And then they finally came out with Mass Effect 2, and then all of a sudden, your choices that you made in the first one like majorly affect the second
Yeah.
one, and I'm like, what? What is going on? And then there's the romance I didn't find out about romance options till the second one, and I'm like, that's
Did they have any in the
awesome.
first one, or did that come
Yeah.
new with the
No,
second
yeah,
one?
they did.
Okay.
I ended up romancing Liara, who was an
Okay.
Asari, the blue alien. I
Hmm.
ended up romancing her and didn't even realize it. And then I like, that scene at towards the end of the game, I'm like, wait, what's going on right now? Like, whoa, hey, booty
Hey,
cheeks.
we
You know?
getting it
I'm
on.
like,
Bow chicka
whoa.
wow wow.
Yeah, And then I'm like, that's awesome, And I'm like, all right, cool. The second one came out, cool. I
Hmm.
can't wait what's gonna happen in this one. And then apparently, and then I was when I learned, oh, the choices you make, they carry through to the second one. And then I was like, oh, that's awesome, that's
That's
crazy.
probably one of the
And
greatest things Bioware did was
oh, God,
connect. Because
yes,
not
and
all people who do these big RPGs like that will give the ability to connect your choices.
no, and I think I feel like that's what's missing with a lot of these
Series
games that
RPGs.
have, that have series or sequels, is that they're not connecting them as
Hmm.
far as like, especially if it's an RP and it's an RPG based on choices, like they're not connecting,
Yeah.
their games. I was like, and I think that's kind of what made that's part of what helped make the series
Hmm.
amazing, was just
And
having
show
everything connect.
how good storytellers Bioware
Oh,
actually is,
yes,
because they are probably one of
amazing.
the best storytellers right that
Yeah,
made an RPG
that
right
are
now.
out, and yeah, and I was just, and it was amazing, and it was crazy too, because like I remember when I first learned, um, that your decisions connect to the second one was
Hmm.
when I started to try and romance. I can't remember who it was, but I remember trying to romance somebody else in the second one.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, Ashley. She was the
Oh yeah,
human.
Ashley,
I'll
her.
be honest. I'll be honest. I low key didn't even know she was a kind of racist. Didn't even realize it until Sam told me, because Sam plays the games
Yeah.
too, and she was the one that told me. Yeah, she's like, I don't like her because she's like racist. I was like, wait, what? So like, yeah, you don't remember what she talks about this on, and like I'll be honest, like when I was talking, all the dialogue with Ashley, I kind of paid attention to half of it, but
Yeah,
I didn't even I didn't
you're like,
realize she's
I'm here for the looks.
yeah, she's kind of low key yeah, she's kind of low key racist. I mean, but her character, towards eventually she's like she doesn't she eventually changes for the better, but I didn't even realize it, and then and it was when I tried to romance her, and I had both of them on my ship
uh,
that or not at least not on my ship because Liara wasn't technically doesn't technically become a part of your crew in the second one,
mhm.
but it was when I tried to reconnect with her and romance somebody else that then it conflicted and I was like, oh wait, and then she was like,
Uh-oh.
and then Ashley was like, how are you gonna be with her? And I thought
Yeah,
you like her, so you got to do something about that because I'm not gonna do it. We're not gonna go anywhere unless blah blah blah. And I'm like,
you got to choose one of us. You can't have both.
yeah, basically. And I was just like, well, and that was kind of when it hit me like, oh, that's amazing. The
Mhm.
games connect. It carries through. Um, and it like the third one, I mean, if you talk to any Mass Effect fan, the third one was a partial letdown. Only the story because like this is and like I've heard several different things and
Mhm.
of why it ended up the way they did. I still love it. I actually still I have it on my Xbox and I started replaying them
Mhm.
again, just to because there's so many choices I still haven't made in the game that I haven't because like I've also following a thread on Reddit about the Mass Effect games, and there's like and people are posting videos and choices, and I'm like, wait, what, that was in the game? Like, and I'm seeing this
Still
now
finally
today.
seeing things
Yeah.
years
And
later.
I'm like, what? And then I started reading the comments, and they're like, yeah, you got to it's when you make this choice, and then this happens. I'm like, oh my god, so like I'm going through again and trying, and um, but like what happens is in the third one, so what happens is supposedly what happened was like halfway through the game or the production of the game, I don't know if they eventually one of the writers leaves or the main writer leaves or
Oh,
something. I don't know if he was fired or it was creative
by
differences and he
choice,
left
yeah.
on his own. But anyways, he ended up leaving and somebody else ended up finishing the game. And the way and basically the finished product today, what is out now, um, the choices are basically the final three choices at the end of the game that you have to make, which will finish the game.
Mhm.
They're kind of because they don't have the impact that the choices in the rest of the series has.
Mhm.
The impact and the final three choices that you have weren't huge. They weren't big decisions like how we mentioned about earlier how they make the decisions hard to make.
Yeah.
Basically pitting them against each other. Um, but what had happened was and I remember one of my buddies who ended up reading or he found a thread where they were talking about what the original basically story was, the final story of the original writer, what it was supposed to be, um was like so much better than
Oh, oh
what.
really?
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with it. I don't know if I mean I
I've
can
never
explain it.
played. I because I was curious one day.
Okay, I'm gonna
Somehow I
I'm gonna
got
tell you just
onto
because.
Mass Effect, and I was like, oh, I started reading the story through the wiki, started reading through like cultures. I'm like, oh, I wonder
Yeah.
this, that, and started
Okay, so
getting a
I'm
bit
I'm
of
gonna try
stuff.
and give you like a summary. I was a little worried about spoilers, but this
Oh
game
no,
has
you're
been
good.
out forever now,
Yeah,
so like if you haven't played it now,
you
that's
deserve to
kind of
get
on you
spoiled.
now. Yeah. Okay. So a quick summary. Um, there's different alien species, and there's they're all coming together in space and
Hmm.
stuff, and they're advancing. And humanity's kind of getting the short end of the stick just because we're kind of violent,
A little bit.
humanity likes to shoot first and talk later.
Hmm.
And anyways, and your character becomes the first human, it becomes the first Spectre, which is like a basically. the top of the line infiltrating unit, military unit that works off the books. They're they're secret. Nobody
Yeah.
knows about them. Except for like everybody that you end up running into in every planet or whatever. Anyways, um, and you eventually come across and discover that there's this species. They're
Mhm.
mainly synthetic in nature, but they hang out in the dark space outside of the galaxy,
Mhm.
um waiting. And what happens is that like every 50,000 years they
Yeah.
come in, wipe out the advanced civilizations, leaving the primitive species to basically grow.
Restart.
And then
Yeah.
they restart it, and then they just leave again. And
Mhm.
in the first game you stop, because one they leave one behind to bring everyone, to bring them all back in. And then they leave one behind again, so to kind of hang back and oversee and make sure that they come back and
Yeah.
do their thing. So the first game you stop what the was his name is Harbinger, you stop him from doing all that. The second one, you come across these another alien race called collectors, and they basically they go and they're hitting human colonies out in the outer rim of the galaxy. And that are outside of the alliance of the organized, I forgot what they call it, but
Mhm.
of where like all the advanced civilizations come together, and their whole little whatever. And it's and anyways, and so there's human settlements outside of their like jurisdiction.
Mhm.
And the collectors, they come in, they basically abduct all the humans of these colonies, and they basically process them and mulch them into one human, what's called a reaper. And that's what
Mhm.
they're called, is
The
they're
Reapers.
called reapers, yeah. And they're trying to make a human reaper. And that was kind of like the second one, where you go and stop the collectors from making a human reaper.
Mhm.
And then finally in the third one, you you're now it's all out war. All the reapers are now in the galaxy, and they're destroying every civilization that's there. The Turians that everyone comes to
Yeah.
love, they're the first ones to get hit hard. And you experience some of it. You're on one of their moons. I was hoping that we'd actually end up on their home planet, but you end up landing on their moon, and you're seeing all the destruction
Mhm.
that the Reapers. And you see just hundreds of Reapers. And just, it's crazy, it's nuts, it was amazing. And then you're going around trying to gather up an army to take them on and take back Earth, because they in the beginning of the game you're on Earth and they hit Earth
Mhm.
hella hard. And so you escape. And you're basically your best friend, Admiral Johnson, I think I can't remember. Anyways, your military best friend, I forget his name, but he was more of like your senior. But anyways, your relationship grows into being best friends.
Yeah.
But he stays behind to keep the fight going against the Reapers and their armies or whatever, and while you
Mhm.
go out and get help to retake Earth. But so anyways, yeah, you do all that and you find a way to combat the Reapers through all this other stuff. But so you eventually, when you get to the end of the game, you're presented with three choices. One is to destroy all synthetic life, including
Mhm.
the Reapers, the Geth, which are these sentient robots created by the Quarians that uh uh that base their they eventually become, what do you call it, like the way AIs become to life and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they ask, does this unit have a soul? And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Basically, how you said, like Sinian.
Yeah. um and it destroys all synthetic life, even the good ones, all the good ones,
Mhm.
and
It's just all
that's
gone.
one. Yeah, and that's one of them. The other one was to control basically everything, control synthetic life and organic,
Mhm.
and merging them. And then the other one, I can't remember what it was. And shame on me for not remembering. But
Wasn't it
um,
like killing the Reaper or something,
yeah, well,
or
yeah,
the
that
head
was part of the
Reaper?
destroy, was destroying all
Oh yeah.
synthetic life. There was control. and I think the other. Oh,
Oh,
it was merging.
yeah.
It was merging
No,
both.
the second one you said was the merging. The third one wasn't it becoming the new Head Reaper or something like that?
I think. Oh, well, yeah, because I can't remember now. I'm shame on me,
Yeah,
but
it's been months since I looked it up because I was like curious. So,
yeah.
but
Well, yeah,
it's along those
you have
lines, I
three.
believe.
Yeah, so like you have three choices, and so like what supposedly the original story was for it was that the reason, and this is where it gets really nuts because so the original, or at least supposedly what it was, is
Mm-hmm.
that the reason why the Reapers come in and wipe out advanced civilization is for some reason they're using everybody as some kind of fuel to fight back some kind of antimatter wave that
Mm-hmm.
could basically wipe out everything in the galaxy, synthetic and organic.
Yeah,
And this was a way of, and this is the Reaper's
protecting it.
way, yeah, of protecting and keeping order in a, demented way.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And the only
uh,
way that they knew because of how
y-
they're in a sense
yeah,
programmed and learned and everything,
yeah,
or
and
their
and so
purpose.
like the choice at the end, it was two choices actually,
Mm-hmm.
and the choice at the end was, do you sacrifice all life in the galaxy just to save Earth and everyone on Earth
Mm-hmm.
from the wave, or do you sacrifice everyone Earth to save the rest of the galaxy?
Yeah, a real heavy choice. It's like,
Yeah,
damn.
and I was just like, oh, see, that would
What are
have.
we gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, and I was like, dude, like, and I was like, knowing me, like, if I, like, once I had gotten to that point, I would have like stopped playing just because, like, that's a hard,
I
like,
can't do this.
I'm indecisive, and that's just a hard decision to make. I
You're
mean,
like, you cannot put this on me.
yeah, like, how dare you put this on me?
Just think about
But
being that, if that was an actual story for like real life. It's like
yeah, cause
being
like,
that one person to have the choice that literally determines the galaxy
and yeah,
or the
and
universe.
what,
It's like
yeah,
shit. That's
is
too
the
much for
galaxy
one
or the
person to
planet,
carry. Yeah.
and like what and like, and it was a rumor, but like what made me believe it was that there was a mission in the second one where when you go to recruit Tally, because she was originally on your team in the beginning as well in the first one.
Hmm.
Or at least I think she, I know she, I mean, she's definitely a character you come across and get
Yeah,
to
you
know in the
know
first
of
one.
her at least from the
Yeah,
first one.
and then the second one, you go to recruit her to your your team, and you find out she's on this planet, and this planet is actually being ravaged by a sun because it's too close. So like the shade is your
Mhm.
only safe zone. And the reason why, or it wasn't that it was too close, but for whatever reason there was oh, it was dark matter, not antimatter, dark matter.
Mhm.
And because in that mission, the reason why Tally was there was because she was learning that there was dark matter that had infected the sun and was causing it to basically burn that planet that they were on.
Mhm.
And she was trying to, and the sun became unstable, so she was trying to figure out, she was trying to find out
She
why
was trying to
and
find the
how the
why to
dark
be able to
matter
get rid
got
of it. Yeah.
there. Yeah, and it was, and this basically the story was eventually supposed to build off of that and
Mhm.
explore that, and then and then
It was
find
supposed to
out
give
dark
you a little
matter.
taste that they were gonna eventually build on.
Yeah, it was a harbinger for what the story should have, what the story was
It was
originally
going to
supposed to
be,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's at least what made me believe it, because I was just like, well, yeah, because after that mission, there's no mention of dark matter in,
Hmm.
affecting a sun or anything after that. It was like a one-off thing, and I was like, yeah, they kind of just, and I had
They
realized
just
when my
left it,
buddy
yeah.
told me, yeah, and I was like, dang, that's, and I was just like, that would have been amazing if
Yeah.
they had gone through with that, but
It's just like
the
a
what it
what
is,
if at that point.
yeah,
Like how great
but
could have this been?
yeah, I mean, it definitely, yeah, it could have been amazing. But what it is now, it's still pretty amazing,
Hmm.
and that, and the final push of when you take back Earth, and the moment when you warp into the solar system with everybody that you can find in the galaxy, and you got everybody just mobs it to Earth. Like, that moment was amazing, and
Hmm.
then Admiral Hackett's speech was amazing, and yeah, the game's just it's just all around amazing. But that game was my first RPG experience, and it kind of just it as like playing that as a gamer, that kind of made me into the and that kind of opened me up and made me into the gamer I am today.
Hmm.
Just because I took that jump of trying out a new game, and now I'm like trying
And a
out
story
different
that really
games.
affected you so much.
Yeah,
Oh
like I
man,
got
people can make
so
these kinds of stories. I
yeah,
only
and then I
usually
got
see these in
so
movies
connected.
or books at that most point. But you're like, I'm actually playing it. I'm actually deciding. I'm actually almost in
Yeah,
it
and
in a
that was
sense.
and that was what was so cool is that it pulls you away from your reality, and you kind of just get pulled into this world,
Hmm.
and you're making, and you're and these choices you're
And you become
making.
more than yourself.
Yeah, and like you're making this character into, and it's a combination, and like the character you're building in the game with the decisions you're making, it's a combination of that character in that game that the developers have made, and yourself, and it's a combination of
Hmm.
you and the game, and it's just amazing. And that was just something I loved, and like after playing one, 1, 2, and 3, I was like, damn, BioWare. And that after that was when I started getting into the Dragon Age series, and I played Origins, and man, Origins is it was amazing. And then playing Inquisition, and like I never played this Dragon Age 2. I never got to. I have it on my PC. I just haven't played it because that was another series of your decision of your decisions carrying through the
Yeah.
games. And it was cool. It was cool too. It was in Inquisition, which was the third one. Those Dragon Age Origins, and then Dragon Age 2, and then there was Dragon Age Inquisition.
Hmm.
And Inquisition, you actually get to, and Morrigan is like one of those recurring characters throughout all the games, and she's is this witch that depending on the decision you make in the first one, it's either her or her mother. I mean, her mother still is very existed in the Inquisition and in the
Hmm.
second one, even though you thought you killed her in the first one. um,
she still
and
lingers around.
yeah, she's still alive, just in a different way. um, and it's cool because I remember in this Inquisition, you meet Morrigan, and she mentions about, oh, well, if you decide to romance her and have a kid with her, she mentions your character, but he's mentioned as the hero of Ferelden
Hmm.
from the first one, and I was like, oh my God, that's him, that's my dude. And then you meet through one of the characters in Inquisition, you meet Hawk, who is your character in Dragon Age 2.
Yeah.
But for me, because I had no save data and I never played the second one, I got to make. I mean, they gave me the default Hawk design.
Yeah. What
But
their initial story for him would lead
yeah,
into.
and I mean, but he was there, so like if you have your save format, your own Hawk, your own version of Hawk
He's
was
there.
there, and I was like, that's just amazing. So I was just like, dang, like Bioware, what are you gonna come out with next? And
Right.
and still waiting.
Well, they did make a next. It was called Andromeda. How did you like it? I hear
Oh yeah,
so
I forget.
bad
Okay,
things about it.
so and so that game, I love it. I enjoyed it. And the thing is that the reason why it got so much or so many bad reviews is
Hmm.
because um all the fans of Mass Effect keep comparing it to the original trilogy, and
They
they
wouldn't let
keep
it stand alone.
yeah, if you look at it as its own standalone, because it's supposed, and BioWare did say, hey, it's a new story, it's
Yeah,
a new beginning, it's a new beginning for that's in the same world, because um
it's basically second child syndrome. You are being
yeah,
compared to your older sibling in such a
yeah,
light that
exactly.
you're
And
almost set to fail.
yeah, and it's unfair to the game
Hmm.
because so like the game, so like in Andromeda, it's basically where a combination of all the races in the Milky Way galaxy come together, and because of that Reaper threat, or at least at the time when in the story when they started creating the project, some of the higher ups that were a part of the Andromeda Initiative believed um, in the Reaper threat.
Hmm.
But mostly they just wanted to, uh, explore a new frontier. Which I mean, that's kind of what space is about, is
Yeah,
exploring. And
the whole Star Trek theory or
yeah,
Star Trek mission.
exactly.
We're out to
Yeah.
explore the final frontier.
Yeah, and but like some of the higher ups also kind of believed in the Reaper threat too. So they're like, let's just get out of here and make sure we have everything we need to begin
Let's
anew. And
let's live in case the worst
yes,
happens back there.
just yeah, and it's like worst case scenario, Reaper threat's real, and we save all of our races. Best case
Yeah,
scenario,
we'll be the last of our
everyone's
kind. We'll be able to try and rebuild.
yeah, and best case scenario, the Reaper threat's false, and Shepard looks like a clown. But hey, we explored a new galaxy.
Yeah, we find new
Um,
homes for or more. We find
yeah,
exciting
and
things.
they leave, and they actually leave for the Andromeda Galaxy in the middle of the second one, or at the after the second one, because
Mm-hmm.
they do mention the collectors in Andromeda.
Oh,
Um, But like, what was cool because the choices in that game too were really cool. They did, you have a lot of really cool choices, and some of the choices, definitely impact the story later on. On some of the characters that, because you start running, because what happens is, um, every one, eh, so like once the arcs that everyone comes in on,
mm-hmm.
they all come into the galaxy at a different point, and some of them actually run into this thing called the scourge, which starts damages the systems, and it kind of gives everyone a really bad start, and resources are depleted, the ships are severely damaged or destroyed, and everybody starts to scatter, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
mutiny, and it's just craziness. And so humanity, and as well as all the other races, they all start to spread out and go on their own. There's people that are exiled, and anyways, you start to run into these characters, and like some of the decisions you make and when you come across them later come into play in the game, when you either those characters, or whether you keep them alive or decide to kill them, or the people they know you end up running into, and etc. um but like, and in this game, as far as the decisions and the impact of it, you don't really feel it
Mm-hmm.
because it's only one game,
Yeah,
and in order for it to have that same impact as the other Mass Effects, there's got to be at least another game.
yeah. They have to
And
continue it. They can't just jam everything into once.
yeah,
There's only so
and
much you
I
can do at one time.
and I mean, of course, with the level of technology, the first Andromeda is definitely better than, if you were to assume that the Andromeda would have its own trilogy. As far as comparing it to the first Mass Effect, the decisions are kind of right, there and there, right neck and neck.
Mm-hmm.
If you just look at them both as their own standalones. But like, what was also really cool was, of course, the combat was very fluid. They took a lot of aspects from the trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
and they improved or kept some of them the same, because they were really great.
Yeah.
You get to ride around in your little a terrain vehicle on the planet. You can, and then the maps for each planet, some of them are really huge. Some of them are a complete desert, and there's just giant synthetic worm just diving in and out of the sand that can just wreck your shit if you run into it.
Yeah.
um it's all this, but like everything that BioWare does, I like what they're good at is there.
Yeah.
The characters, the choices. I mean, there's like plenty of comedy. Your comrades are there. I mean, I just found out that I just saw the original design for one of the romance options, Cora, in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was kind of laughing because like her original design, she was was like, I loved it way I liked it way better. So, like, the Korra now, I mean, she's cool. She's this badass, that was trained by the Asari in biotics, and
Mhm.
the Asari are basically second to none when it comes to biotics. They're the most powerful when it comes to biotics, and she was trained by the Asari commandos, and to be a commando, and she's
Mhm.
just as powerful when it comes to the biotics. And her character, as far as her personality and backstory, is cool, and it wasn't bad. And she's into like planting, and she has her own. She likes gardening and whatnot,
Mhm.
but she's a
She's
total badass.
she's this tough, fierce person who has a soft
Yeah,
side to her that if you
yeah. I
didn't
mean,
know her,
it's
you're just like, you wouldn't be into this. You're like,
yeah, and and,
you're
and a
this
lot of people would see that as
crazy gonna beat
cliche.
someone's butt, crazy type. What are you doing here planning? A little bit.
Yeah, and then, like, some people would see it as cliche, but I've kind of find it welcoming amongst all the original and unique character and backstories that are already in the
Yeah.
game, and it's kind of nice to have that sense of familiarity.
Yeah. Not
Um,
to mention also gives almost a humanish aspect to it instead of
yeah,
or
instead
natural
of it,
quality outside of okay, you're gonna be the stereotypical this
yeah,
person. You're gonna be the
yeah,
stereotypical this. We're gonna give you a little more depth.
yeah, and so her character, or at least her appearance design, she's this white female with like this, and she's blonde. She's got this kind of like sort of short haircut, a lot of, and then of course in the Mass Effect thread,
Mhm.
a lot of people kind of see her as like she looks like the soccer mom, and I'm like, oh, I can see it. Yeah, she kind of has that look,
Yeah, you expect her to be
Um,
at the PTA. She's
yeah,
carpooling the kids, white minivan
yeah,
type of person.
yeah, and then someone found her, I guess, what was a concept art of another version of her
Hmm.
appearance, and she was this dark skin with long black hair, and she looked a total badass, and I was just like, that's so much better. Like, that would have been really cool, and it's kind of one of those things that like would have been more appreciated, just because it's kind of touches on that topic of there needs to be more
More racially
more,
diverse type of stuff
yes,
in it. Yeah,
and
definitely.
I feel like they could have they could have
They could have added
been, it
or
could have been a little
yeah.
extra better, at least with her character, just because, like, in the original trilogy, you already have your human companion, who is, at least for the male, is a
Hmm.
romance option. Ashley's, she's a white girl, um, and Andromeda, it's another white girl romance option for the male.
Yeah,
Um, and I was like, well, and I
they
mean,
left it
it's
kind
not
of
nothing.
plain, really.
Yeah, it's plain, and like, I mean, it was a safe
A safe
option for
option,
them,
yeah.
I guess.
Oh,
And like,
definitely.
but if they had gone with that other design, like, that would have, I mean, I don't really see it as a safe or bad option. That's just, it just looks, she just looks better. Like, it's more appealing, honestly. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
it was more, just because, especially if they're trying to be a little bit different from the trilogy alone, just thinking of,
that
without bringing in all the racial talk about it, like, just being a little bit different,
yeah.
seeing that, because that would have,
It's like we're literally throwing something different at you. We
yeah,
can't compare this person to this person as much anymore.
yeah, and like, and they kind of kept that, yeah, so. And like, I thought that was funny, because they're like, and you're like, and all the comments are like, oh man, she looks so badass, like, that would have been better, better than the soccer mom. And I'm like, yeah,
This would have been
I
so
see it,
freaking cool.
and but yeah, like, the game itself as a standalone, it definitely, it only gets a lot of hate from all the diehard fans of the trilogy, um,
Okay.
at least the ones that don't like change,
Hmm.
because I mean, BioWare came out and said, "Hey, this is going to be a new story, blah blah blah, this and that. It's a new
Yeah,
galaxy,
they're
yada
hoping there's
yada."
going to be more of the same that they
And,
already knew.
yeah, and they were looking and they were looking for Shepard and the whole battle against saving the galaxy and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, there's a new threat in this galaxy that they can in that you
That
can
they could
save the
play that
galaxy
off of.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and then they just keep comparing it, like you said, it's that second child syndrome, and they keep comparing it to the original trilogy.
Hmm.
And what I did also like in this one though was there's this there's these structures of a civilization that you come across that was there before basically anybody else that you find is there, like the Ket and all the and like the Ket were there before you, but oh, and then the Angaran,
Hmm.
like they were both there before you, but you find structures from a civilization that
Yeah.
was there
That they're
before
always
even
like,
them.
okay, who was here originally at this point,
Yeah, and
or
so
at least, like you said, just a little predated. Who got here
yeah, and
just a
then
bit earlier.
yeah, and so like there's a bit of a spoiler here because this is like not
Well, Andromeda's
till
been out, been several years already, so
yeah,
it's
okay, yeah,
fine.
cool. All right, cool. I'm glad you said it. I'm gonna go for it. So, and what was so cool about this one, about the
Mhm.
civilization, because in the Mass Effect trilogy, the ancient civilization that you come across, the Protheans, you know, you eventually learn they were there. You know, they were the civilization in the last cycle. In this one,
Okay.
because there's no cycle, there's no Reapers trying to blah blah blah. So you actually find a civilization that evolved and advanced on its own and had plenty of time to just thrive.
Yeah.
Um, and crazy, crazy, crazy plot twist because they're called everyone that calls them remnants. All their technology they called it the remnant
Mhm.
civilization. And you find them, and most of them, most of the remnant tech that still works, it's mostly a bunch of drones that are up and running and protect, it kind of just patrols the
Yeah.
structures that you find.
Guards,
And
really.
yeah, and as you're trying to hack it, they jump you.
Hmm.
And
Well,
you
yeah.
eventually start to
Well, like any guard, you're on our turf now. It's like
yeah,
we're gonna
exactly.
protect what's ours, like they were
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yes, and the Ket, you find like as you progress through the story, the Ket, are at least the leader, the Archon, as he's called, is trying to reveal and discover the secrets of the remnants.
Hmm.
And he finds this superstructure that is amazing. He wants to control it, of course, to shape the galaxy the way he wants, to shape
Hmm.
all life the way he wants, yada yada yada. Um, but the original design of the superstructure was to basically no, I don't know what the word is for the entire galaxy, but it's basically a terraformer for the galaxy.
Okay,
It's
so instead of just being planet localized, it's like we're just gonna
it's the
make
entire
everything
galaxy.
us.
Yes, and not just that, it purposely made everything diverse. It basically it supercharged nature
Hmm.
and let nature do its thing, but it just gave it like a turbo boost for the
Like
entire
natural
galaxy. And it
steroids.
wasn't yeah, and it wasn't just for the planets, it was also for all organic life in that
Oh
galaxy.
man.
And you learn that the Angaran are a created species that there, and you're like, wait, what? And it's like, yes.
You mean
So
they were
like when you get in,
manufactured?
yeah, you get into the superstructure and you're seeing all these like capsules in this one like section, and you're looking and you're talking to this AI, and your AI is reading all the data that it's finding that after hack into the system. And it's basically like, dude, the Angaran are a created species, and you're like, wait, and you're asking, yeah, like, what'd you just say?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, he's like, look at these pods, and you can see silhouettes of the Angaran species, and you can actually even actually see the faces of some of them, and you're like, what? And there's thousands of
Yeah.
pods, thousands of them, and you're just like, that's nuts. And so like it has a really good story, and it has the potential, and like
It
and
had the
like
potential
it's
to be more, but people were
yeah,
just
and
too
because
much
it's
trying to
getting
compare
yeah,
an
and
old
because it's
thing
getting
to a new
so
thing.
much negative reviews, I feel like Bioware's hesitating. I
To
really hope they're
establish more, yeah.
secretly yeah, and I really hope they're secretly working on the next installment
Hmm.
because there of course was a cliffhanger. There was
They left
it
it for
was
more in case it did well.
Yeah, they left it open, and I really hope that they just say, "Screw these fans. Let's,
We're gonna build a game
let's
that they're in the end they don't see it now, but they will eventually.
yeah, like let's give the other fans that see it for what it is, and let's give them what they
Yeah,
want, and and we'll show all the other fans that are still holding on to the original trilogy that this game can be just as good."
yeah. The
And
story will blow your socks off too. Just give us the time
yeah,
to tell the story.
yeah,
They're
because
trying to
like the
compare
mechanics
three games worth of story
to
into
one.
one, which is you
Yeah.
just can't. Just
No,
because like
yeah, it's
you let
it's
us do hours and hours of this content, why are you only letting us? Why are you judging 2 hours of gameplay to this?
yeah,
Obviously,
and
Andromeda, I'm pretty sure it's more than 2 hours of gameplay, but still, it's
no,
basically
yeah, I
all
mean,
that.
yeah, there's so much to the game, and like I really really want another installment,
Hmm.
just because like the gameplay itself, the mechanics of the gameplay are amazing. They're solid, very fluid. Like
Not to mention for someone all about the story, you just want to know what happens next. Give me that
yeah,
next episode now. You mean I have to wait a week for another episode? Why can't I just have it now? At least Netflix drops it all at once. Why can't you? It's
yeah,
all
no,
like that.
I'm really, really, really just hoping Bioware is working on it. I know
Mhm.
they've gone through a lot of staff changes, and I know they've kind of lost some people.
Not to mention
Um,
writers probably moved on, developers. It's the
yeah,
gaming industry. Developers are gone left and right easy.
yeah, oh yeah, it's
To
it's
where
just like
it's
they're
hard to find
around.
places, or it's hard for people who to go from to stay on one project or stay at one company for long just because of how
Oh no, yeah,
volatile the industry is.
they're always yeah, I think they're
There's
always around
always
for a few
layoffs. There's
months.
always everything going on.
And I'm just really hoping that they're not gonna forget about it, that they're not gonna abandon it.
Mm-hmm.
I really want them to stick to their guns and keep going with it, because it, like I said, as a standalone and as its own potential series trilogy, it's I feel like it's gonna be amazing, and
Yeah, as
it's
long
gonna be
for they got
a
to put
new
that love into it first. They got to
yeah.
put that hard work, love, get past the haters, and
Yes,
hopefully time will
ignore the
tell in the next few
haters.
years. We'll hear something about it or see something about it.
And hopefully,
All we have right now
grown.
are the theory crafters, and let's hope,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
rumors like I might hear. Does anyone know anyone at Bioware? Can you confirm without confirming it because
Can
you're
you
under
find out
contract?
what's going on? Yeah,
We just need someone on the inside for this.
yeah. I have high hopes for it.
Definitely.
Definitely worth the play.
But I'll have to check it out myself. With all
Oh
these
yeah.
different and cool stories and experiences from gaming, what would you say would be one of your favorite or one of your most memorable gaming experiences? It doesn't have to be a, a specific story like Mass Effect
Hmm.
or as a general, but what one thing do you think stands out as a favorite memory? It could be like how I told Jaime while just listening to or trying to sleep when Mario lived with me and just hearing you guys playing games at the same time. It's like, what would be your a favorite experience from gaming?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so like as far as just moments, whether just a small part in a massive game like Mass Effect, or many moments, but
Or
I mean,
even
there's
a
so
just like a
many.
PUBG round that you remember the most out of everything. It could even be like
Yeah.
that, where you're just
Oh
having so
yeah.
much
I
fun.
mean,
It's
there
like,
was.
oh gosh, this.
Yeah, there was definitely some games in PUBG. But I mean, I'd like to share that with with the streaming. But I would say it would have to be God, God of War, but not just the game itself, but it was cause like when I first heard of God of War, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, this is a smashing game,
Yeah,
just
button
you wreck
smasher.
stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I took on Ares, then I was just like, this game's amazing. You kill your first god, and then the sequel comes around, and that one
Mhm.
was amazing. But I would have to say it's gonna have to be the third one, God of War 3. Um, and it's gonna be the fight against Poseidon in the beginning because that was brutal and epic just to start the game off. And it was and not only that, it was everything that, playing as Kratos, and seeing and watching and, living his, and vicariously living his life through him, of course,
Hmm.
because video game, but experiencing that with him, one and two, and his story, why he's going after the gods,
Hmm.
which is like it's super simple, like it's and it just finally getting to that third installment where this is the game where it all ends. This is the game
When
where
we're closing out all the storylines.
yeah, and the beginning just kicks off with you killing one of the big three of
Hmm.
Greek mythology, of the gods. You have your Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon, and you just take out Poseidon right in the beginning. And it was brutal just because, like what was I mean, like, so you're on Gaia fighting off his little water cracking things and fighting off all the undead on Gaia, and then he's grabbing you and crushing you, and you're
Hmm.
doing all those button combos and whatnot. But the m- the the moment would be when you I believe you launch through his water manifestation, and you torpedo him, and you hit some altar, and then you just start, you know fucking typical God of War button mash. You just stomp his face in, punch his face in, smash his
Deal
head,
as
and
much damage as it can right now.
just that moment of
Just
just
wail on him.
wailing on him and destroying his face. It was that moment that, like, oh my god, that I felt, whoa, man. I was like, that's how you start a game right there.
It's like if
You
we're
know,
starting at this high moment,
this high note,
what
like,
does this game entail?
yeah, and the rest of the game just didn't disappoint. Like, oh my god, it
Just
was
built up
it
and
was
more and more.
yeah, and like it was just, but like I just remember because, like, I mean, like, God of the first one came out years and years ago, and I had played it, and I was,
Hmm.
and God of War along with, was like up there with Mass Effect, and just one of my favorite games, and just loved it so much. And I was always looking forward to the next one. And I will have to say, God of War Ascension was one of my favorites. The story was okay. I barely
Hmm.
remember much of the story, because it was more of a prequel. It
Hmm.
took place before the first one, but what I loved about it was the multiplayer, because the multiplayer I thought was great, and it definitely there was like it was definitely God of War vibes. The
Hmm.
mechanics were God of War. It felt God of War. And it was, I don't know. It was, to me, it was well balanced. It was well done. Um, and like even the leveling in it was awesome, and how you get the new weapons and how your weapons evolve and
Hmm.
get better looking ones. Like it was so awesome, and I think the reason, like, it just didn't get enough attention was because of the story.
Yeah.
Like, it was like it's a prequel, not a sequel, and a lot of people just weren't interested in prequels at the time.
Hmm.
But I was like,
Didn't give
but
it
it's,
the love it needed.
yeah, and it was awesome. But, like, yeah, the God of War moment, I mean, at least my favorite moment in gaming, at least one of them, one of the top ones, was definitely just that moment of just bashing in Poseidon's head in the beginning of the God of War.
It's like I'm taking out the big three. We're gonna go at
Yeah, he's
this.
one of the big three. He's one of the big three,
He
of the
is literally the
gods.
god of Earth, basically, because
Of
Hades
just
was the underworld and Zeus was heaven. He is
yeah,
basically the
and he was
god of
basically
Earth.
Earth. Yeah, you're like, take this foot in your face. It's like,
This is
yeah.
what I think of you.
Yeah, and I was like, just like you just feel powerful. You're bashing his
Hmm.
face, and he's just amazing. It was so much fun, and I mean, and then, and that's, like, that's like a my moment in, like, a single player game.